Hey, what's up? Tyson France from Motion Revolver here with a quick tip. I just wanted to show you how to quickly cut out an image using the pen tool inside of After Effects so that we don't have to worry about jumping into Photoshop. If you don't have access to Photoshop, you're not familiar with Photoshop, there are some instances where you can very easily cut out an object from the background inside of After Effects. So the image we're going to be using here is this full body portrait of a professional businesswoman by M Image Photography on PhotoDune. I'm going to provide a link to this image so that you can go ahead and purchase it if you're interested in using it. But I've just downloaded I've downloaded the preview image for these purposes to my desktop. So we're going to dive into After Effects here, and I will import the file. All right, so we have the image right here in our project window. I'm just going to grab this image and hover over the comp icon to create a new comp with this image. So this will create a comp the exact dimensions of the image size. Then if you want to resize the comp, you can go ahead and do so if that's what you'd like to do. But we're just going to leave it as is. All right, so we have our image imported and placed into a composition. What we're going to do next is grab our pen tool, and we want to make sure that the regular pen tool is selected. And we can zoom in here by clicking Command plus or Command minus on the keyboard to sort of get a better look at our image. We could also, if we have the composition window activated, we can hit the tilde key on our keyboard, and that will take us into, it'll solo this window within the interface so we don't have anything else interfering, like the timeline in our way or any of our other palettes here on the left or right of the screen. So all we have is a giant palette here to work with. So we've zoomed in pretty far. We have our pen tool activated. All we have to do here is begin clicking and dragging along the outline of the image. And for our purposes here, we don't need to be super accurate or detailed about the sort of path that we're drawing. But we're just going to go around the image. If you're familiar with doing this in Photoshop, it's basically the same process with the pen tool. Really no difference between the pen tool in After Effects and the pen tool in Photoshop. Photoshop obviously has more powerful tools when it comes to image selection and soloing a background and isolating an object from its background. So if you're familiar with Photoshop and you are comfortable using Photoshop, then by all means, please go ahead and use Photoshop to cut out objects from your images or from the background, because Photoshop, in reality, Photoshop is going to have the more powerful tools for items, especially if you need to make a more detailed and complicated selection, like as far as like isolating individual hairs on somebody's head or something like that. You might want to use Photoshop's tools. So once we clicked, I'm going to actually undo that. We're at our last point. Once we close this path, we get to this final point and we're just about to close the path. You see there's a little circle that appears next to the pen tool. If we click on that, that closes the path and automatically cuts the background out. So we're going to toggle out of our isolated view by hitting the tilde key again. And as you can see, we have a path selected around our object, or our person in this case. So when we toggle on the transparency grid, we can see that the image is indeed isolated and there's no more background to the image, and we can move it around and animate it, and it now becomes an asset within our project. But one more quick thing that I wanted to cover is, as you can see, there is a space here that also needs to be cut out, and a lot of times you'll encounter that with some of your objects that need to be cut out. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use our pen tool again. I'm going to grab that one more time, and we're going to create another separate mask and just draw our path to cut out what we need to for this portion here. Now, when I close this path, you'll see nothing actually happens. There's one additional step we need to take in After Effects to cut out this portion. I'm just going to make a few adjustments here. Right. There's just one more step we have to make when creating masks in After Effects for cutouts, especially when we're using more than one mask on a single layer like we are here. So I'm going to highlight the layer, and I am going to hit the M key for mask, M for mask. Whoops, didn't want to do that. All right. So we highlighted the layer, we hit the M key to show all of the masks on the layer. The second mask, mask number 2, is the one that we created here to create the cutout. But it's currently in add mode, which means the mask is adding to the image instead of subtracting from it. And what we want the mask to do is actually subtract from the image instead. So we're going to click on this little drop-down menu and click Subtract. Now, Subtract mode removes the mask portion from the image. So now if we zoom all the way out, as you can see, we have a fully cut out image that we can now use any way we want within our project. So like I said, this is probably the quickest and simplest way to achieve a fairly good-looking mask result within After Effects. Again, if you're more comfortable using Photoshop, there's always that option. But if you don't want to take that extra step by jumping from one application to the other, this is a great method as well. I really hope you found this quick tip useful. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your project.